Evolution? It is a mystery. It's just that you choose to deny it. And the world is spherical. It's not flat, even if you say it is. The sun is 93 million miles away. Who knew? Who knew? Hello! Welcome back. I am your favourite Bible-telling idol. You may adore me. Before we get started, smash the like button. Like for your like your life depends on it. Subscribe and share with your local pastor. I'm sure he or she will love it. As if it's gonna be a woman. Anyway, so Adam and Eve have long been kicked out of Eden, had children, painfully, to kill them. All along with all the animals, God decided, let's bring on the Great Flood, as he is a genocidal psychopath, allegedly. However, not all were killed. Noah's 500-year-old and his family were spared. He built a boat, saved all the animals on a boat, and then came the greatest flood ever from the whole world. And so the whole world was flooded, and the highest points were at least 15 cubits beneath the water. A cubic is around 18 inches. So the mountains were 22 and a half feet of water. And that's a lot of water. I know what you're thinking. Or what you should be thinking is, where did all the water come from? And more to the point, where did it all go? And this is point number one. Okay, so if you're a flat earther, you fool, to start with, you're going to say, wow, this is how the flat earth was created. And part of it was the ice wall. Now, the ice wall, which goes all around the world, there is no Antarctica. Antarctica is protected by NASA, who weren't actually a thing until 1958. But there's no worry about that. Still a thing. They guard it, and no one's allowed to go there, even though it's a United States government thing. They guard, bearing in mind, the United States is in the northern hemisphere. They guard the whole southern hemisphere because they're in charge, yeah? So they believe that this ice wall was created by this floods, but there you go. Anyway, after that, let's say it's hard to believe fairy tale. It was time to repopulate the world. We were here of how the sons of Noah's repopulated certain areas of the world. Doesn't explain the various varieties of skin tone that man has developed over 6,000 years. Let's be fair, there's many coloured people. It's almost as if the Bible isn't a form of scientific research, but a look at sick fairy tales used over generations to keep the poor and misguided in line. Religion is used to justify war. It's being used incorrectly. Anyway, let's see how bonkers chapter 15 from Off of the Bible, Genesis, Off of the Bible is. So, here we go. After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abraham, I am your shield, and your reward shall be great, as it deserves to be. Abraham's done a lot so far, but Abraham said, O Lord God, what will you give me? For I continue childlessness, and the heir of my house is Eliza of Damascus. Okay? Do things to her then. And Abraham said, you have given me no offspring, and so a slave born in my house is to be my heir. Clearly that's not a good thing. You don't want your heir to be a slave. But the word of the Lord came to him. This man shall not be your heir. No one but your very own issue shall be your heir. What the hell does that mean? So whatever you create is your heir? Who knows? He brought him outside and said, look towards heaven and count the stars. If you are able to count them, then he said to him, so shall your descendants be. What the hell does that mean? So what he's probably trying to say here is, if you can count all those stars, then that's how many descendants you're going to get. Well, let's start with that then. So if we're going to go into an astrophysics type of view, there's roughly between 200 and 400 billion stars in the Milky Way. Andromeda, which is coming towards us, a little bit more. There are billions of galaxies, all similar, some bigger, some smaller, around the universe. There are so many stars, there is no way you can count them. The only reason they'll be able to count it now is because of science, and science has the technology which can count them, but even that, it's a lot of stars. And he believed the Lord, and the Lord reckoned it to him as righteous. Well, that's a good thing then. Then he said to him, I am the Lord who brought you from earth to the Chaldeans to give you this land to possess. Well, that's awfully good of you and all that. But he said, O Lord God, how am I to know that I shall possess it? Well, you need to make sure you've got some rights there, mate. What you need to do is go out and get yourself some legal advice. So if I could recommend, it's only so much an hour. Yeah, he doesn't possess it because he doesn't have the papers, I guess. Who knows? He said to him, bring me a heifer, 3 years old, whatever a heifer is, a female goat, 3 years old, a ram, 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. So, what is going on here then? So a heifer, maybe a sheep, I don't know. Goat's part of the sheep family. A ram, that's definitely the sheep. So it's all along those sort of things. Turtle dove and a pigeon. Well, there, 2 birds. I think God might be about to make a pie. Who knows? It sounds delicious. Let's see what goes on here. He brought him all of these and cut them into 2. Didn't say kill them, did he? Laying each half over against the other, but he did not cut the birds in 2. That's the easiest bit to cut into, isn't it? And when birds of prey came down on the carcasses, Abram drove them away. Yeah, sure he did. How the hell are you going to get them away? Okay, where's the next line then? What's going on? Where has the Bible gone? Okay, alright, let's go back 1 second. Excuse me. And we seem to have lost the other half of Genesis. Right, we will. 1 moment. And we're back. And this time it seems to be working. Not quite sure what happened there. So it is a smaller text, so I will have to be a bit more reading it here. But so the next line was, as the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and a deep and terrifying darkness descended upon him. Oh no, he's having a nightmare. Then the Lord said to Abraham, know for certain that your offspring shall be aliens in a land that is not theirs, and shall be slaves there, and they shall be oppressed for 400 years. And I believe we're now going to go into Egypt. Not sure, but this is possibly what's going to happen here. And become slaves, and they're going to be saved by Moses, who some people believe wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. Because of course he did. But I will bring judgment on the nation that they serve, and afterwards they shall come out with great possessions. Oh, of course they will. This will be your commandment where you do what I say. Bullshit. Okay. As for yourself, you shall go to your ancestors in peace, and shall be buried in a good old age. Those lines don't really make sense to me, but there you go. So he's going to make it to a good age. Well, let's be fair, it is the Bible. They all seem to live quite a long time. And yeah, there's another proof that the Bible really is true. In your certain point of view. When the sun has gone down and it was dark, and smoking firepot and a flaming torch passed between these pieces. So they're getting themselves stoned. That's probably where this bullshit of ages came from. On that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, to your descendants I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river of Euphrates. I believe that's Euphrates. And I imagine the great river of Egypt will be the Nile, probably the second most famous river in the world after the Amazon. I don't know. If people said to me, hey, Andy, name a famous river, I'd probably start with the Thames, bearing in mind I'm from England. But then it would probably be Amazon, and then the Nile would be. I suppose the Ganges is also going to be in there, but we seem to be going on about rivers now, but never mind. So, the land. So, on that day, now we've done that bit. The land of the Kenites and the Kennedy's and the Canaanites. That's a line. The Hittites, the Perizzites, and the Raphaems. Yeah, another line. And the Amalekites, the Canaanites, the Gishites, and the Jebusites. And that's your last line. So there you go. That was chapter 15. Yeah, so we had Abram smoking pot. He had a nightmare. God made a pie. Sounded amazing if you're into that sort of stuff. Not sure what sort of pie it would have been and whether it would have been pastry. And if it was, would it have been flaky pastry or would it have been short crust? Guess we'll find out in chapter 16. That's something to look forward to. I have been your man in the shed, Andy P. Thank you, and as I say, adore me. Love the hole. There you go. Show my hairy armpit, but there you go. Never mind. This has been your man in the shed. Hope you're all well. Hope you're staying safe. Stay safe, people. Be good. Don't forget to respect your Lord if you have one. I have been your man in the shed, Andy P. See you, pals.